Year after year, the computation power of hardware increases, and what's amazing is that the size of the hardware also decreases. This brings us over to what I consider to be the greatest 8K 360 action camera in the market that you could pick up from Insta 360. Before I actually dive into this review, let's take a look at some of these footages that I shot recently while I was out and about. So on New Year, I just pulled up to the New Jersey State Fair, but as I got here, I started to have issues with my Sony camera. I'm not even sure why. The battery is fully charged and the camera will not turn on, so I'm headed back to the car to see if I could just switch out the battery to see if the issues with the battery, hopefully it's the battery and I could use my camera to take some photos here today. But apart from that, I'll be testing out this Insta 360 X4, and this is 8K. The audio that you hear coming in from this camera is coming straight from the camera itself. I don't have any built-in microphone connected to this. It is just a straight audio coming out of this camera itself. So let me know in the comment section below, how does the audio sound coming out of the camera. Amazing, just amazing. The image quality that comes out of this small compact 8K camera, action 360 camera that fits in your pocket. You won't be able to miss any of your movements moving forward using this small compact camera. I have the previous model of the Insta 360, the X3 series, and let's just take a look at just the resemblance of these cameras with the newer version. So on the left side, or in my left hand, I have the smaller Insta 360. This is their previous model, and as you could tell, like, just the Insta 360 X4 is a lot larger. The screen size is quite larger. Now the newer model, the X4, features a large 2.5-inch screen along with a half-inch sensor and a aperture as low as f1.9, and I feel like that is great enough to capture these image quality, which is just excellent, as we all know, for low light conditions. And the minimum focusing on this is a distance of 2 feet. The battery capacity is 2290 milliamps, which is larger than the previous model, and we all know the reason why. With this 8K camera, the amount of data that is being stored and the cooling that needs to happen on this, it doesn't make sense having a smaller device. You'll be able to just record as much video with the battery life on this camera. Most of the footages that I actually shot on this was not shot in 8K 30 but actually 8K 24 frames, and on their website they say that the 30 frames gives you up to 75 minutes, and that was kind of accurate because I shot this outside in around 95 or 90 degrees. That day was extremely hot, but what I did was I turned the camera on and off while I was not using it. When I was using it, it was on, and then, you know, as soon as I shot the footage I need, I just turned the camera off. The camera is waterproof up to 33 feet, but with the invisible dive case you could go all the way up to 164 feet, and I just can't wait to be able to bring this with me snorkeling. For photos, you could capture up to 72 megapixels, and the single lens use your bump down to 36 megapixels, but that's still good or great enough megapixel to be able to even crop into your photos. And I didn't have any issues taking photos with this. I snapped a few and it all turned out good enough to be able to use either like posting on social media or whatever your niche is. And the camera also comes with microphones, I believe 3 or 4 microphones. To be honest, I believe it's 4. I'll have the numbers up on the screen, but as you heard from the video, the audio quality from these microphones are also good enough to be able to use. And from my listening, I would probably just use this even for like those of you who are vloggers. You could just use the audio coming straight out of the microphone of this camera. The software control for this camera is also very user friendly. You don't have to be a great video editor to be able to produce high quality video coming out of your Insta 360. All you have to do is pull up their video editing software, which is called the Insta 360 Studio. There's a bunch of pre-selected tools to help you produce just great content, like something like the crystal ball effect or the tiny planet, which is very popular now. I've seen this like all over social media, and the necessary mega or ultra mode. You can even use the dewarp tool to straighten out your footage. Reframing 5K footage was very good with the X3 series, but imagine how much better it is reframing 8K footage from this camera. Any angle, anywhere, you'll be able to capture the perfect angle for your videos, and that is something that you could expect from this camera all of the time. Think about your social media platforms like your Instagram, your TikTok, or even your YouTube that you're watching this video on. I also want to show you just how good the stabilization on this camera is. I was on this ride, I'm sorry I don't even know the name of the ride, but just look at the unstabilized footage versus the stabilized footage, and to be honest with you, both are usable. Looking at the unstabilized footage, you could just tell how much of a good job Insta360 has done with this camera. For you to be able to use a unstabilized footage like this, you could tell how much processing this camera is already doing internally. But once you're finished and you pop it into this software, you can see even how much better the footage is once you have it stabilized. And as I said, it doesn't require a mastermind at video editing to be able to get this job done. Now over to some of the accessories that I have paired with this. The first thing that I want to mention is this lens guard, and this is a premium lens guard. Just one thing to mention, that if you're using something like a lens guard or any guard at all, you have to go into the software and configure the camera to be able to recognize the lens guard. And I believe this kind of helps with the stitching part of your video, especially if you're doing the 360. This will help, but having a lens guard makes me feel a lot more comfortable to getting those very risky shots with knowing that I won't scratch the lens itself and I just scratch something like the lens guard. But just want to mention that to you guys. And then apart from that, I have this this invisible selfie stick, which is amazing. You could probably I've seen a lot of people over social media use this to be able to fake drone shots, and I tried a little bit with myself. I wasn't quite efficient in doing so, but you could use this. This goes up to 9 feet and this is very long. As I said, you could use this to fake drone footages. I have a drone, so I don't really need to do that, but just imagine traveling to some places that bans a drone. You could just get away with using your Insta360 8K camera to be able to capture drone footages on the go. Now I do want to also give you my recommended settings for having the best image quality coming out of your camera. So first thing that I would do is the obvious, which is shoot in 8K, but as I said, I shot in 24 frames per second, and this is the recommended settings that will give you the highest video quality. But if you're actually in like something like a low light condition, I would recommend shooting in this 5.7K plus settings, and you could bump this up to 30 frames if you know you you're planning to slow down your footage. Now, apart from that, the view that I would also recommend using is probably the mega view, and as we already spoke about, this is a 360 camera, so you'll still be able to crop into whatever section of your video that you need. Now, if you go back out and you swipe to the right, I have mine selected to the flat settings. So you start using this camera, the first out of the box it is set to vivid, but this doesn't really give you much of a dynamic range. But if you go into something like a flat profile, which is kind of quite similar to the log profile, you'll be able to even go in after and do some color graded to your footage. And that's actually what I did with my footage. Like, most of my footage is coming out of my camera. I always shoot in a log profile, and then with my video editing software I go back in and I add my LUT and do my color correction. Now, I think enough has been said. You've seen the footage, you've seen the usage of this, you've seen the possibilities that you could use using this small pocket 8K camera. But I'm curious, would you be picking this up if you had the X3? Or if you're new to the market and you're looking for a new action camera, do you think about picking up the X4 series? Well, I would make the recommendation to pick this one up. But let me know in the comment section below. I'm just very amazed that the videos that you guys will be seeing, some very unique shots coming out of my videos in the upcoming future, will be using this. I could definitely tell you that. If you've made it to the end of this video, I just want to say thank you, and remember, before you go, to like this video, subscribe if you're new to this channel. I have a ton of videos coming out, and then what's more to say? Peace out, God bless, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.